Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to this wonderful event, which is curated by Barb Jennis, who also came up with this whole idea, which is wonderful. Barb is the recent Poet Laureate of Ridgefield, Connecticut, and she did a million programs for the library, and it's great. Welcome, Barb.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. And thank you, Ridgefield Library, for hosting us all these years, all these long, long poet-filled years. I was just saying we've had almost 200 Connecticut poets on the program, so it's really, and five of the best ones are here tonight. So don't tell anybody. Anyway, just wanted to let you all know. Usually I do a promo for the next month's program. We're on hiatus as usual for July and August, but we'll be back in September. If we have other promos or other programs, poetry programs, you probably see them promoted in either email or on Facebook. I also want you to know that the library, the wonderful Ridgefield Library, is one of the sponsors of the Poetry and
You froze.
Uh-oh.
Come back, Barb.
and his band perform up at Poetry by the Sea. We have Marilyn Nelson, Sean Thomas Doherty, Charles Rafferty, and Patricia Spears Jones and January Gill O'Neill. So we have a great lineup. And again, you'll probably be seeing things in either in your email or on Facebook. So if you want to subscribe on Facebook to the Poetry in the Garden page, you're welcome to do that. Lots of updates will be appearing there. So hope to see you Monday evenings in July and then back here again in September. So wonderful evening tonight. I can't wait to introduce our poets. They're all folks who have brand new collections, either within the last couple of months, last few months. In fact, Jay's one of our poets. The book just came out yesterday, right, Jay? Oh, yeah, well, we'll go.
Oh, that's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? Yes. So these are new. These are new collections. So you'll hear works probably from the collections, but also other works. I mean, lots of times poets like to read the most recent things they've been working on. So anyway, they'll tell you when we get to them. Okay, we're going to start the evening. Oh, also, you're invited to please feel free to pop things in the chat, so the poet either praising a line or something, an image in one of the poems you've heard. The poets love to be able to look and see what people are reacting to. It's kind of like applause, which they can't hear. So please feel free to do that. And was there something else? Oh, also, each time I introduce a poet, I'm going to do a very brief bio, but please, I'll also put in the chat the full-length bio that the poet has submitted, so you can see like their publishers and publication dates and all the awards they've won and things like that in the chat. So be sure to check there too. All right, so here we go, off and running. First up, we have Catherine E., aka Katie Schneider. Katie is the editor-in-chief and publisher of the Northeast Coast Literary Journal and Press, brand new. She's honored to be the 2025 through 27 Poet Laureate of Norwalk. Her first poetry collection, I Used to Remember the Story of How, was published by Finishing Line Press in 2019. Breaking the Fever, her new collection, is her second book of poetry, and it's the first publication of the Northeast Coast Press. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much, Barb. It is such an honor and pleasure to be here. I've admired poets from CT's Four Corners for a long time, and it's just fabulous to get to be here. And hello to everyone in the audience. Hello to my friends and family who have popped in. It's so good to see you here. And I'm so excited to share with you from my most recent book, Breaking the Fever, which went on sale in January and has just been a wonderful journey with it since. This collection of poems is all about personal transformation. It's about religious deconstruction. It's about leaving abusive and toxic relationships. It's about realizing toxicity in culture and in society and politics, and kind of moving forward, calling out injustice, and kind of creating a new resurrected self out of the ashes of that experience. So I'm going to try to read the poem straight through with minimal introduction so I can get maximum poems in during my time. And I'd like to start with the prologue poem, which is called Prescribed Fire. It was inspired by a painting by the artist James Chen Wishart. So imagine that you're seeing a skeleton sitting cross-legged in a void with colorful flames bursting out of its head. Prescribed fire. You sat down dizzy, fevered on the floor. Past and present melt, lucid dreams of fire. You were in a taxi on your birthday, in a foreign country, summer on fire. And she was not your wife, but she loved you, like your mother who made bread on the fire. The dogs would bark all night in your village. The occupier's army opened fire. The colors mottled on the water bright. City lights reflected, lapping like fire. Far from danger, you went to sleep that night. You wept until exhausted, eyes on fire. You used to sit and talk with your best friend on rooftops watching sunsets orange fire. You'd led her by the hand, weaving the crowds, religion belied by cheeks red with fire. Now, shoveling snow at the gas station, you ached for orchard fruit, for home, for fire. Take the pills, like circus performers' flames, pop them back and gulp as if prescribed fire. My vision blurs as I see into you, all your bones, your wishes, your pain, your fire. I too have scars and stories never told, bound to my mind like a halo of fire. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you scroll back on my Instagram to the summer of 2024, you'll get to see this beautiful video of a time lapse of the painting being painted by the artist. Beautiful music by Dave Robertson, who does all the original music for, almost all the original music for the Northeast Coast, and me reciting that poem. So check it out. Follow me on Instagram. The next poem I'm going to share with you is the first poem from chapter 1. So this immediately follows it, and it's another sort of semi-ghazal for the form conscious. It's called Pity. How could you hurt me? I have been so kind. I winced and all my face said, take pity. I wove a quilt, I warmed you, you moved me, took but gave nothing, not even pity. I have spent my life soft, speaking gently, deferring, relying on your pity. I have looked you in the eye, thou monsters, who consumed me without thanks or pity. There is no art, there is no subtlety in the narcissist, he laughs at pity. There is no shame, no self-effacing change in the bully who reigns, banning pity. What kind of animal are these cruel ones, so proud not to be kind or have pity? From the time they met me, rejected me, ridiculed and used me without pity. And they will be the ones who seem to win. And dazzled masses will forsake pity, worship a fat cat savior, slick and snide, hate neighbors, deride the poor, no pity. The beaten, sad Jesus said love, mercy. They scoffed, man up, I don't need your pity. There's no safe place here for a tender soul. Hold up your own light. Don't expect pity. Thank you. We're going to increase in intensity from here. Oh, thank you so much. We're going to increase in intensity a bit as I bring you to the poems that I wrote in response to my trip to the Holy Land in January of 2019. And it was so important to me to go there as someone who, for whom Christian spirituality was really important to me for a very long time in my life, and for also someone who wanted to see the truth on the ground of the injustices that Palestinian people are dealing with, and how Israeli and Palestinian people are addressing how if we can ever find ways to peace and justice, true peace and justice in the land. So these are my meditations on that with the backdrop of this inquantifiable history The first poem I'll share with you from that is called City on a Hill. It starts with an epigraph. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. I am a city on a hill. I know what Jesus meant. I saw it myself. I saw the cities on the hills in the Holy Land. Out of the terminal into the van, we drove through the night, Israeli street to Palestine. I saw the cities on the hills. They sparkled in the black ore of the crisp January sky, exposed, twinkling, bright. I am a city on a hill, eyes fixed to the window. When we crossed the army-guarded checkpoint into the town, the scene came more to life. Christmas decorations strung up across the streets, parallel parking, car beeps. I swear I saw a man riding a horse inexplicably. The driver made friends with me. He stopped to buy kunafa. We ate it as he drove with sticky fingers. And there I was in a hotel in Bethlehem, moved from a basic room to one with a balcony. I could see out from inside the city. Each day I looked out, I walked around the ancient places and the newly built. I thought about what it means to be a city and a light. And what are all the structures and things except dust not yet pounded out? And what really matters except the lives of the people who live now? And if this was the longitude and latitude where Christ was born and is no more, then ours are the mortal bodies that hold the holy wisdom and the option to conjure life with its power. People are the only holy cities, the contrast in the silent night. We are the living truth cast on the screen of time. Thank you. Thank you so much. This next poem is called Jerusalem. The old city was a place I somehow already knew in past lives, from fever dreams, from Bible reading, imaginings. Jesus' feet were here, exactly here. Is this excitement a wisp of holy magic between the Ottoman walls for me? Who am I here on a Sabbath day, an extra in a gospel film? A passerby on Middle East news, Dome of the Rock in the background? What is the sound of my American sneakers on the weary stones? All I know is a paradoxical wonder, how overwhelmingly unworthy we are to be here, in the midst of unquantifiable history, the palpable injustice of all the blood spilled here. None of us are worthy of the expense it took to bring us here by air, through checkpoints, past soldiers with guns where others cannot go. So we can fantasize in the actual place, our favorite characters, our religious Disneyland. How many millennia of massacred, how many decades of displaced, how many innocent thrown in prison or shot in the street by the state? How many layers are recorded in the earth of each new kingdom dominating, pressing down? They show us by demolishing the new life to dig the old one out. Yet I thought I felt invisible Jesus, understanding and having mercy. He whispered while a tour guide explained the bullet marks in the ancient gate. He stilled my breath at the tomb of David, lascivious man and psalmist king, next door to Palestinian graves on their living families' confiscated property. I heard Jesus repeating what he'd said here before. Forgive them, Lord. They don't know what they are doing. Or do we? Thank you. This is my last poem from that time. Thank you so much. It has two titles. It's called The Holy Land / The Occupied Territories. And this is how I will leave the Holy Land poems with you this evening. Driving back to Bethlehem on a clear winter night, my memory of it now makes it wider. I returned from a village perched on a hillside, carved with ancient terraces like each hill in the vista, seating homes holding orchards, each catching sunshine, all living, breathing testaments to the people of Palestine. Now, between the last evening and first morning prayer, I almost forgot occupation was there. That man-made oppression's hideous gears were churning under distant stars of the sky, among the silent, narrow roads and minaret lights. I watched the twists and turns, ascending, descending, so many stone buildings with people dreaming inside. I almost forgot at that time. That tucked into the shadows of the land were the cold cenotaphs and apathetic bones of patriarchs in their hallowed crypts, bare-to-air ruins of emperors and kings, the lingering echoes of prophets' warnings. Somewhere crushed to powder was the broken jar of perfume, the landing place of Jesus' tears, the execution site, the empty tomb. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, now we're gonna lighten it up a little bit and share some romance. And I think I might have to leave you on this one because I think I'm almost done with my time, Barb. Is that right? Last one? Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave you with the other poem that comes from that ekphrastic project I did. You're going to imagine another skeleton in the void leaning over to kiss an unseen other. And for my friend Rob Piazza, who has written many villanelles, this is a villanelle. And you can also watch the video on my Instagram of the painting time lapse with the music. It's cool. Tell me your dreams. For love, I lean close, bare bones on my knees, tears melt to ether, been waiting for you. Let me kiss you as you tell me your dreams. My mind lights, bursts with color when we meet, all ridges of spine, hungry ribs, they knew. For love, I lean close, bare bones on my knees. How touches and words conjure galaxies. We're bright bits of stars, red, yellow, green, blue. Let me kiss you as you tell me your dreams. In intimate darkness, where we are free. I am your safe curve, tell me what to do. For love, I lean close, bare bones on my knees. A thread connects my wishes to your needs. You hear the long-held desire come true. Let me kiss you as you tell me your dreams. It's the portrait of how you ignite me, of how I give, and just this is the view. For love, I lean close, bare bones on my knees. Let me kiss you as you tell me your dreams. Thank you so much.
Wonderful,
Such a pleasure
Katie.
to read for you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I love what you do with both villanelles and the guzzles. Or it's funny, we just had a debate in one of my writing workshops about how to pronounce it. You know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. I
But
gotcha.
wonderful, wonderful. And I love your Holy Land poems. I always have. I mean, yeah, that's
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. Thank you all of you for your kind comments and hearts and clapping emojis. Thank you.
and lots of hearts going by. All right. Okay. Well, thank you. Next up, we have the just spoken of Rob Piazza. Rob is the award-winning author of Distilled Spirits, Coffee and Recovery, a collection of villanelles portraying addiction and its aftermath. Rob earned his MFA in creative writing at Fairfield University, another person, and he currently serves as Poet Laureate of Litchfield. So welcome, Rob.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's such a real honor to be here. And thank you, Barb, for the service you do to the whole community. This is wonderful. Can everyone hear me okay out there in Zoom land? Okay, good, 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 good. Yeah, so this is my new book. I don't know if it's shown, you can see it there, but it's called Distilled Spirits, Coffee and Recovery. And it is a book of villanelles. And it explores the intersection of addiction and spirituality. And it was published by Cathexis Northwest Press, which is up in Portland, Oregon. It was the winner of their annual chapbook contest. So yeah, and it's currently available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And for anyone here who's Connecticut, it's available locally at the Hickory Stick Bookshop in Washington Depot, and also at the Booksmith's shop in Danbury, right beside Katie's book, which is wonderful to have that neighbor friendship. And I'm blown away by Katie's work. It's hard to follow after. I'm still processing everything she just read us. So that was thank you, Katie. So yeah, I'm going to read 5 poems from the book, and they kind of go beginning, middle, and end to give you a sampling. The book is actually cohesively a book, and it's filled with characters. And I say cohesively a book because it actually has a through line like a plot. The first and last poems of the entire book are the same character. His name is Uncle Eddie, and it starts with him around 20 years old, ends with him around 70 or 80 years old. So it's his whole life is in there. And so the book is a sequence like that. So I'll read a few from the beginning and then move into the middle. And I'm debating if I should read. I think reading from the screen might be easier, so let me do that. Perfect. There we go. So the first poem is in the voice of a female character, and I'll say the beginning and last, the first and last poems I'm going to read tonight are both character portraits of people that are striving or struggling to become artists of different types. This character wants to become a nature photographer, yet she struggles with addiction. And it's set in the state of New Hampshire in the summertime, which the weather is actually really nice right now up here in Litchfield. So anyway, this poem is a postcard title, like you'll see on tourism things. It says, "Greetings from Alton Bay." So, greetings from Alton Bay. She swims in Winnipesaukee to capture loons on film. Their oily feathers are black and white. A squall disrupts the summer afternoon. When heavy rain clouds burst like water balloons, New Hampshire's favorite fowl disperse in flight. Why visit Winnipesaukee? To capture loons on film requires a telescopic lens. Lightning and thunder explode like dynamite when squalls disrupt the summer afternoons. Her hopes for perfect pictures lie in ruins. She works so hard to photograph the sight of Winnipesaukee elusive flocks of loons. Their call resembles the sound of contrabassoons tuning for a symphony at night. Summer squalls disrupt the afternoons when eager scouts arrive at camp in June. Buying postcards is for hypocrites. She drinks to Winnipesaukee to toast the loons, but squanders her dreams in cheap saloons. And I'm going to move on to the second poem here, which is a little further into the book. This is a character who is very much struggling with addiction, but seeking recovery. So this character is beginning to seek recovery. And all of these characters in the book are fictionalized. They might be amalgams or composites of, a little bit of this person or that person whom I've met, or they just may be totally, creations of my own imagination. This character is named Tommy D'Angelo, and I'm dedicating this reading of it to my friend Robert, who is on screen from Virginia with us tonight. So Robert, shout out to you, and thank you for coming. But this poem, Tommy D'Angelo, let me read through it for you. Tommy D'Angelo. Jesus, how did you escape the tomb? My life's a pit of darkness and despair. Let me put my finger in your wounds. I can't believe you crashed the upper room, vanishing like a ghost into the air. Jesus, how did you escape your tomb? Am I, a drunken bum, supposed to assume God has numbered every single hair? Let me stick my finger in your wounds. Lost in my addiction, I consume more booze and horrors than devils dare. Jesus, how did you escape the tomb? My addiction floors me like an atom bomb, knocks me off my stool and down the stairs. Let me heal my fingers in your wounds. Like skeletons inside a catacomb, my soul is petrified beyond repair. Jesus, how did you escape the tomb? I long to touch the marrow in your wounds. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. The next poem tonight is a character that's a recurrent character in many of my poems. His name is Bad Luck Chuck, and he's a truck driver. One of my poems that was published in the Long River Review, which is from University of Connecticut, he was in that book, and he's in several of the poems in this current book that's out available today. In this case, he's not driving his big 18-wheeler, he's driving a car, but it's the same character, Bad Luck Chuck. Bad Luck Chuck. I want to drive all night to northern Maine, cranking Sabbath on the FM radio. I need a place to go that's free from pain. I sing aloud to Ozzy's Crazy Train. Heavy metal makes my Chevy go, aiming like a compass for northern Maine. Like Ophelia, my wife has gone insane, a dizzy world of swirling vertigo. I need a place to go that's free from pain. Sometimes I tell myself I shan't complain about the loss of love, but I don't know. Like a madman, I speed to northern Maine. Playing chicken across the passing lane, I flash my beams at cars I deem too slow. I need a place to go that's free from pain. What happened to my wife? I can't explain a wounded mare that wins the rodeo. Wanting to drive all night to northern Maine, I turn around to face my inner pain. Thank you. These last two poems are from further into the book. This character, Bobby, that I'm going to read about is in recovery, but he's early in recovery. So he's actually in a psychiatric hospital getting clean and getting sober. The hospital that's mentioned here is a specific place. It's McLean Hospital, which is right outside of Boston in Massachusetts. And for those of you that are literary types, which I think is a lot of you on the screen tonight, this hospital is the same one that Sylvia Plath, Anne Sexton, Robert Lowell, all were at this hospital, McLean Hospital. So the title is Bobby at McLean. Bobby at McLean. I've come to dread my alumni magazine with its glossy images of success. Every few months, it kills my self-esteem to gawk at newlyweds in limousines while I'm dying alone, bored and depressed. I loathe my shitty alumni magazine with smiling graduates curing Crohn's disease. I imagine everyone's having awesome sex but me, deflating my flaccid self-esteem. A loser, a boozer, I'm doing the Thorazine shuffle in my foam slippers, perplexed by the unreality of alumni magazines, lost in a labyrinth of vending machines, ping pong tables, and psychiatrists who coolly analyze my self-esteem. Meanwhile, classmates are adopting Vietnamese twins and vacationing in Chamonix. With the barbells of my alumni magazine, I build the muscles of my self-esteem. Thank you. And the last poem tonight, I'm going to end on a hopeful note. This character is further along in his recovery, and he's really striving for his dream to become a creative writer. But he's not there yet, but he's further along. His name is Marty S., and this is his poem. Struggling to get by, he works as a waiter, serving trays of chicken parm and fries. And yet he hopes to become a famous writer. Repeatedly told to defer his dreams to later, he wonders whether he should even try. Begrudgingly, he slaves all day as a waiter. But in the center of his soul, he's still a fighter, crafting rhymes that shape the truth from lies. He hopes someday to become a famous writer. Continually slinging spaghetti platters to chumps who waste their lives with alibis, he scribbles orders like a patient waiter. His mind on fire, he pulls another all-nighter, filling books with verse that questions why some fools are driven to become a writer. At work, he's tougher than an alligator, but inwardly, he wishes he could cry. Struggling daily to smile as a waiter, he yearns to become a creative writer. Thank you so much for allowing me to read tonight. And Barb, special shout out to you for putting this all together. And yeah, the book is called Distilled Spirits, and it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Thank you so much.
And from your local independent bookseller.
You got that right. Absolutely.
Oh boy, thank you, Robert. That was wonderful. I love the villanelle form, and you just really are a master with it. It's fun to hear all the wonderful permutations you do. And I too dread the arrival of my alumni magazine. I'm doing my 50th reunion this year, which will be very interesting. But anyway, thank you, Robert. Wonderful, wonderful reading. Okay, so next we have, hold on a second here, Jay Brooke. Jay Brooke's debut poetry book, I Can Tell You the Version That Will Make You Take My Side, which, by the way, just launched yesterday, has been chosen for Ms. Magazine's Best Poetry Books of 2026 list, is Driftwood Press's Editor Choice winner, and was Aslan Press's 2025 Richard Schneider Prize finalist. Jay is poetry editor at Transpoetics Archive and the book reviews editor at The Rumpus. So please welcome Jay. Hi, Jay.
Hi everyone. Is the sound fine? Okay, good. Yeah, this is my book. It came out yesterday. It was very exciting. You can get it at independent bookstores locally. I'll be doing a reading in July at RJ Julia. They're carrying it. And Possible Futures, I'll be in June. They're carrying it. And I really appreciate being invited to this, Barb. If you ever do want me to read for 14 minutes, you're going to have to tell me my time limit is 30 minutes. I read much shorter than allotted time, so we'll make up some time, and everyone can move on to the rest of their evenings. This is going to be good. Even though my book dropped yesterday, there's been all this. I've been doing stuff since March. And by accident, I discovered that I'm always reading the same poem first. So I'm just going to read this very short poem. And I do it because in some ways, you know, this is about a gender journey. It's a queer, trans, non-binary book. And yet it's really not. It's, you know, this poem in particular explains why this book is really for everyone. Even people who, you know, vote in a way which would make you think they're not on this Zoom. Okay. Mistaken identity. Dear orangutan, I am sorry I called out baboon, eyeing you at the zoo. You must be bothered being mistaken for another other than yourself. Like me, you are vegetarian, loner, devoid of tail. I do not know enough, though I suppose when it got decided that we get divided by a single glass pane, someone mistook you again. So that's a poem I often start with to let everyone know that my book is accessible. And we're in summer, so I think this is the longest poem in my book, but don't get scared. I told you I'm using about half the time. It's called Gigantor, and it takes place in summer camp. At the day camp I'm sent, there's all this singing I did not anticipate. My family never sings that way. Lainey sang me to sleep before Lainey was fired. Afterwards, I sing myself to sleep every night, singing every song Lainey ever sang me in bed. I sing in whispers so I don't get in trouble like Lainey did, because I can tell if I'm kicked out like Lainey, I'm too young to live alone. On my own, I'm too young for a job. At day camp, they sing different songs than I learned from Lainey, making me wonder how long I'll pretend sing before my brain remembers all the camp song words. Most involve hand gestures. This added layer of me remembering hurts deep in my stomach, but I don't tell counselors because I fear them sending me to the nurse for that pink medicine the nurse uses a lunchroom spoon for, the same exact spoon on each kid she makes take medicine. I've seen her wipe it mindlessly, using her sleeve or the paper towel it rests on, face up, the spoon growing pink ghost streaks, never evaporating. This is just one of many gross things disgusting me in the world. I first heard disgust, that word used, when my mother said it about my father, and I liked that it sounded the same as disgust, a word used a lot at home that I like a lot less. We already discussed this, Jay. You're not allowed to sit with Richard B. at lunch. That disgust concerns what I'm not allowed to do. But disgust is something I feel about things, like that smell in the changing room at camp. I'm the only one disgusted, of course, because I'm alone, noticing it while everyone else changes. I'm already changed, wearing my swimsuit like a secret I hide under my t-shirt when I get dressed in my bedroom before camp. So I'm different from the other kids, yanking and tugging damp underpants, hopping bare feet on grass with slime oozing mud between their toes. Most kids are naked or half naked, and they never look happy. Kids like Jed get red, kids like Grace cry, and I like swimming in the pool. And I obviously love tag and capturing the flag, but I don't understand what they mean when they yell free play. So that's when I just run to the swings and swing so high my stomach flips in a good way, and I wish my life was all about swinging and almost never about singing. And I don't hate Edelweiss, but also don't get why we sing about this blossom of snow in fiery July. I don't, of course, mind Itsy Bitsy Spider because the hand gestures for it are hard to mess up, but Thumbelina I despise. Thumbelina disgusts me with those stupid, you're no bigger than my thumb, stupid, wave your thumb in the air hand gestures. Everyone stares at me during it because they're all damn Thumbelinas, while I'm the one who isn't. I'm Gigantor instead. Gigantor, the giant robot from the cartoon my brother and I watched Saturday mornings before older kids started singing at me in the playground, also in the lunchroom, and on the bus ride home. It's unfair because they sing the part that goes Gigantor, 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 and then they sing the part bigger than big, taller than tall, before one of them can't hold his laughter anymore. Then everyone, like dominoes, fall into each other, all cracking up and becoming this huge hysterical amoeba screaming Gigantor, Gigantor at me. There's this other part to the Gigantor song, though. The part that goes quicker than quick, stronger than strong, ready to fight for right against wrong. But no one knows that part except me and my brother. Or if they know it, they don't bother singing it after all the laughing starts. The last one that I'm going to read is called Supermoon. And there's the next supermoon, or it's either supermoon, blood moon, orange moon, some gigantic moon on June 15th, which is interestingly when I'll be missing it because I'm very excited. I'll be reading at KGB in the city, and that's cool, but I'll be missing it again, which is exactly what this poem is about. Supermoon. Apparently, I missed it. Once in a lifetime comet just last night. This happens so much. So many people I know care, like my sister-in-law, chasing those northern lights, claiming bucket list motivations. That and her husband, my brother-in-law, dying unexpectedly, unmercifully, makes fleeting everything, especially sky miracles, like eclipses, solar and lunar. One thing obscuring another entirely or partially. Isn't that alone worth it? The looking out, the looking up, the looking beyond ourselves. Ponder whatever appears greater than your immediate self, and your body disappears entirely, I tell myself, passing my reflection, again illuminated beneath another supermoon.
Are you done?
I'm done.
That was wonderful. We had a couple of people falling
Yes.
off their chairs.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you,
Yes.
Jay. And again, the name of your book?
I can tell you the version that will make you take my side.
That's wonderful. Great title. Great title.
Thanks.
Oh, boy. Okay, so moving on again tonight, we're happy to welcome Tony Fusco. Tony is Poet Laureate Emeritus of the City of West Haven, past president of the Connecticut Poetry Society. He was the publisher and editor of several anthologies, including 10 volumes of Caduceus at Yale Medical Group. Under the Harvest Moon, his new book, is his 7th published collection of poems, and he also has published several chapbooks. So welcome, Tony. We're so glad you're here.
Hi, thank you, Bob, for inviting me, and thank you to the readers. They're really terrific. I also want to say that thank you to people that are viewing me that for Connecticut Poetry Society, the president, Pat Matola, up there, my wife, who's the membership and treasurer, and Ginny Connors, who's the Connecticut River Review editor, and Vivian Shipley, who's in charge of everybody. There's a lot of of people that are also on there that I'm not going to be able to get to. So let's go. I have a very eclectic group of poems, kind of like to give you a smattering of things. And if you've heard it before, I'm sorry. Okay, so this one is Java scripture about the importance of coffee to some people, from my book Java Scripture. In the beginning, God created coffee and earth. He divided the caffeine from the decaf and filled the basin called cups. On the second day, he said, "Let there be milk and non-dairy creamer and sugar." And there was lightness and sweetness on the third day. On the fourth day, he called forth cookies and all manner of dunking food. And the Lord saw that breakfast was good, but not fast enough. So on the fifth day, he invented the drive-through. Then, spilling coffee upon the earth, the Lord shaped the mud and breathed on it to cool it off. And there were consumers at the beginning and the end of the sixth day. And on the seventh day, the Lord rested, but could not sleep. Okay, and sorry if politics bothers anybody, but this is a cry in the rubble. War is the first response of the afraid, without hope, who quit believing. War is hell. Hell is in our own backyards, grinding cattle and crops, and mostly people to fertilizer. It is fruit, too, quickly ripened, a blackened victory garden. War is the canceled wedding, bride at the church door, letter in her hand, silent pews. It is the empty chair at the Thanksgiving table, the dried pine needles under the presentless holiday tree, half decorated. It is the opportunity of the amoral, the black market, a legalized looting of heirlooms, the trading of honor for life, and when fortunes are made. War is the bookmarks of history, the footnotes on gravestones, the redrawing of meaningless borders. War is the fetish of guns and explosions, the prerequisite for parades of fancy dress balls and regalia, the mismatch of inaccurate documentaries. War, the ticker tape, the confetti, the stock market mover, training ground of presidents and tyrants, the foundation of industry, the cure for sick economics. War is the lathe of souls, the potter's clay, wobbling and slipping, misshapen on a turning wheel of fortune. War is a state of mind, shattered minds, in the rubble and burned out neighborhoods. The vanishing generations disappear, restart, despair, lost. War is the ruins of the forgotten, the broken, and the buried. This one. This is from my book, Don't Make Me Laugh. The doctor calls them vegetables. My doctor calls them vegetables. It is not that I dislike vegetables, I hate them. It's a kind of like people as individuals. Some of them aren't so bad, but as a group, they can be horrible. The worst, of course, are green. Not that I would discriminate by color. It's just a thing of mine. The darker the viridian, the more the distaste. Cooked, they wilt and lie on the plate like a clump, bitter at being sliced from the ground, wilting soft into a squishy, strung entanglement. Dandelion weeds cut from the cow pastures with a kitchen knife and gathering into brown paper bags, dirt and all. Worcestershire all, the spinach, the kale, the collard greens. Grasshoppers and worms could be along for the ride. Scrub them all, it doesn't matter. Squash is mushy, broccoli, raw, slimy. Celery catches in your teeth. Onions can make you cry. Garlic makes you reek. Asparagus makes you pee, smell funny. No one deserves a leak. Vegetables are sneaky. They disguise themselves as fruit and flowers, eggplant, cucumbers, tomato, broccoli, cauliflower, artichokes. Artichoke actually has the word choke in it. And beans are a whole other group onto themselves. Conspirators. We all know what they're up to. Some peas will give you a black eye, peanuts send you to the emergency room, runner beans, soybeans, garbanzo beans will eventually get you in the end. I said my say and admit that they're not all bad. Cucumbers are decent and uncomfortable in their skins. They sound like cute. And peppers, well, they're full of pep. And if you could keep it secret between you and me, I kind of like Brussels sprouts. I really do. Okay, and this is kind of a semi-religious poem. What if the devil was misunderstood? What if the devil was just misunderstood? What if he were on parole and signed himself into rehab? After the apocalypse, when he was chained and thrown into a pit for 1,000 years, will he be rehabilitated and able to become part of the new tomorrow? Even if it were a bum rap, if angels put him into the frame, does his time-waiting judgment count towards reducing his sentence? How could he not hold the mother of all grudges? Imagine that his group therapy session were like stories of bodies on fumes and sulfur and corruption. Would he gleefully tell tales of destructions of men's souls? His many personalities would be exposed. Satan, the stumbling block, the tempter, Lucifer, the shining one, the fake dawn, the king of lies, and the lord of the flies. Would he tell his psychiatrist phony fibs only to screw with his head? After all, he never had a mother. He had father's issues. He fell in with bad sort. Because of his looks, he was made fun of in elementary school. If out on probation, what kind of work could he do? Where would he live? Who would be his sponsor? Could he not even pass the first of the 12 steps? Honestly, it is in opposition to his real nature. A hopeless case. There are no pills or pharmaceuticals for his long-term cure. His depression, absolute. Even if he would be revealed on his own, excuse me, even if he would be released on his own recognizance, would he ever lose that voice inside his head, that social isolation? But most of all, like mostly 90% of the people alive today, that feeling of not being real? How am I doing time-wise? All right, okay. This is an unusual one. It's brand new. It's not in a book. It hasn't been published anywhere. It's Putin-esque, from Noni's explanation on the prostitute sauce, and it's a sonnet. Do not leave your shoes on the bed's edge, nor sneakers or army boots, sandals or slippers. One that crashes to the floor sounds like a falling sledge. And she, undressing fast the snaps and zippers. Nor drop your fedora on an iron sheet that insinuate your host a low-priced whore, with whom you crept in from a gaslit street, lest the gossips peek in the old maid's drawer. Sauce bubbles rising on her stove stink of anything old scallions, oysters will do, half-ripe tomatoes, meat, or a garlic clove. Don't wake the old man until work is through. Hold hard your breath, motionless on the top, awaiting for the second shoe to drop. And skip this. And this is the last one. Yesterday's news. We all saw it, scrolling the internet, the online news, and later on television, repeated in reels, on social media, the helpless protester on his knees, the confused ICE men, bystanders torn between fight or flee. Isn't that what happened? Look what it got him. No, he was only trying to help a woman up, one who was pushed and knocked down, and the gun frozen in time, like JFK's frame-by-frame last seconds. He told them he had a gun, which they took away before they shot him 9 times. When he was on the ground, even a sloppy shooter could not miss. No jail time. We all heard it. On the radio, the talking heads flabbergasted, the automatic knee-jerk covering up the facts. No details. Gunman was afraid for his life. We heard it a halftime at the ball game. We heard the judges scoring figure skating at the Olympics while the bobsled team careened out of control. We heard it in the bar, the office worker water cooler, the voicing condemning and defending. If he wasn't there, he would not have been shot. If he complained and if he complied and followed instructions, his insides would not have been scattered about. If he wasn't a domestic terrorist, blood would not be on the uniforms of the nice Icemans. We all heard about it. No indictment, no trial, no one to judge, no jail time. We saw it. We all heard it go ahead of them, deny if it was, as if they choose, twist it and change reality, reverse it, confuse, but we heard it, the backslapping and the winking, the dog whistling to the dogs, no prosecution, no jury, no jail time, yesterday's news. Thank you very much.
Wow, Tony, talk about swinging, swinging between moods. Wow. Make sure you check the comments because you were hilarious, but also, like someone just mentioned about that poem, a very, very important poem. So thank you for your diversity and your dry humor. So much appreciated.
Thanks again, everybody.
Oh boy. Okay, so our last poet for this evening. Let me pull up the. Okay. Sandra Yannone, Poet Laureate of Old Saybrook, is the author of the just released chapbook, which I don't have it with me, but Fire at the Big Top, as well as Boats for Women and The Glass Studio. In April, Sandra toured Ireland as co-editor of Unsinkable Poems Inspired by the Titanic, which releases in the US this summer. Since March 2020, Sandy has hosted the international online reading series, Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. Welcome, Sandy.
Thank you so much, Barb. And oh my gosh, what illustrious company I'm in tonight. And I have to go last. Holy mackerel. Oh my gosh. Well, I'll start out by saying I've always wanted to write about the Hartford circus fire. My dad was a survivor of the fire. And we'll get into that a little more probably when I read the last poem. But the gist of this, the book literally just came out on Monday from Moonpath Press. It's available bookshop.org, Barnes and Noble, another site that we all know about. So if you go to Moonpath Press, you can get to any of those sites. And I'm going to read how I describe this chapbook is Circus Fire 1944 fuses with lesbian, queer, combustible desire in 2024. That's my little elevator pitch for the book. I'm going to start with two poems that are based on my dad's story that will give you a sense of the fire if you're not familiar with Hartford history. And I'm just going to show you first the site where the fire burned on Barber Street. That literally is the circus ring charred on the ground. And these are very poignant photos if you see them. This poem is called Phantasmia. And if you're not familiar with what the word means, you'll know by the end of the poem. Phantasmia. My father swore up and down for months on end that he smelled something burning from downstairs in the basement and begged me to go down and check the furnace from 1 hour to the next. Can't you smell it? he'd plead with the bleeding heart of the boy he once was before turning into the man who would rush into a building blazing in the middle of the night and come home in the morning for fried eggs and bacon. He liked his bacon burnt. He liked his toast burnt. He liked everything he ate burnt. I'd sit next to him at dinner as the sun broke down and have to break the news gently that there was no fire climbing the stairs from the door shut tight behind me. He'd glare at my mother and ask her the same, as if she would betray my plea, tell him the impossible truth. Are you sure? He'd switch back to me. He couldn't believe I didn't smell something as horrid as what wouldn't leave him alone. These were the late years on good days when he'd volunteer the story of the big top burning to the ground, claiming he spotted a flame's initial rise up a seam as he watched the Wallendas scale the ropes to begin their famed high wire act. He jumped off the bleachers, ran like hell from the mayhem, and turned around once to gape at the whole black sky where the tent used to be. At his birthday party, when asked what he remembered most from that blistering day, he deadpanned watching the clowns hose the elephants down as he blew out all 75 candles on his cake, offered everyone a slice and a priceless grin. Phantasmia, the neurologist diagnosed after too long a wait, otherwise known as phantom smells. And I started not to believe him, the doctor, I mean, the more my father spun his fury phantom tale. Well, my father, like with most disaster survivors, didn't really talk about surviving this fire. And I didn't, in fact, learn about it for the first time. I heard about it, I was like 12 years old. And then I didn't hear about it again until I was about 25. But there are little snippets of stories that have remained very poignant to me. And this tells the story of one of those stories. It's called The Day After, July 7th, 1944. The circus was on July 6th. Let's pretend there was a good reason. A father took his son, a boy, just turned 8, to the temporary morgue at the State Armory on Broad Street, where the dead stayed dead, tented underneath scratchy, drab olive blankets on Army-issued cots. Let's pretend the father needed his son to see the outlines of other children's bodies who may have stood near the day before, as all watched with amazement the big cats racing through the chutes to signal the opening of the greatest show on earth. And let's agree it wasn't coincidence that the greatest loss of life recorded was by the animal chutes, where the children and mothers died, trapped, crushed, and some even branded by the metal cages fusing against their unsuspecting skin. And let's imagine another good reason for the boy to need to see how his body might have rested finally in pugilistic position, knees curled, arms raised as if to protect his face, had he not abandoned the cats and the chutes and admitted I was lonely when his aunt asked why he came back to his bleacher seat. Let's say he didn't hear the occasional wailing of women piercing the dead silence as nurses slowly pulled back each Army-issued blanket, cot by cot, while his mother and aunt, two of 1,500 volunteers, aided at one of the 4 overwhelmed city hospitals, most of the adult men in Hartford absent, elsewhere in a world at war. Let's pretend his father held his young son's hand the whole time, and after drove him to A.C. Peterson's for ice cream for being a good alive boy. Let's say the ice cream was pistachio, his favorite flavor, appeasement for the boy's disappointment at the circus lost before his eyes, before the second act. And while we're here, let's pretend there was no alcohol on his father's breath, that his father was clean-shirted and shaven and smelling of aqua velva and just a few cigarettes and not the brand that might have set the entire day aflame. Let's pretend all this because my father is dead now, and I never thought to ask why my grandfather took him to the morgue to wait with the others in high heat that day after he and his aunt survived. Let's say for the rest of his life, my father, an only child, was never lonely again. Well, the central feature of this poem, of the chapbook, is a sonnet crown inspired by the circus fire, but largely set in 2024. Every single sonnet is named after a circus performer, and I'm just going to read a couple of them, and you'll have to come to other readings to hear me read all of them in one fell swoop. I'll read them straight through with no interruption. The Circus Fire Corona, 1944-2024. 1. The Sword Swallower. And so she becomes nothing more than everything that I hold in my hands, one with sword, the other sand that she blows away from the palm of my hand. And those candles too, I lit their waxed wicks and watched the glass globes glow from the bed and blew out toward them before they ever burn, too bright, too outrageous. For my dreaded blade, my folly, is too sharp to call these candles hers, mine, ours, although their light is all I promise her I can see from shore to cherished, drowning shore. What she can give me is all we fools have, until she can see us no more. And what I can give her will repose in my steel-worn heart, sleep with me forever, like a lover, like a darling, darling dare. Number 9, the trapeze artist. And then we chose to dare. We dared ourselves to lose each other in the air. Every time on the trapeze, upside down, my knees gripping the bar, I closed my eyes, my head dizzy, trusted my hands to please find yours ready and waiting to catch me clean, so we would not displace the crowd that was us, our hands, our serpentines swinging in the air, defying all the loud beloved awe that we heard from the faces daunted below. We were still the flying Walendas, after all, our intimate daredevil haunting acrobatics above. No one knew this better than us. We trained ourselves to fly uncertainly through the air, to fall without fear of exquisite pain. 10. The Human Cannonball. To fall through the air without fear of exquisite pain, to make myself the illusion of round as I split the molecules of light and air. Without explaining, I become more circular each flight. I uplift everyone's eyes until they can see us no more than I believe resides in this anomaly that the ringlings call my cast iron body. I am encore before I am shot into the crowd's terrified glee. Where I land, no one owns. And this makes me more like the fire that will dislodge the love from what I do, forever extinguish my destiny to go on with the show. I become glove to most of the air. I become a flying trick card. And as for the whip of air I create, I crack it hard. Well, thank you. The sonnet crown ends, of course, with the fat lady. in what I call a fat sonnet. But you'll have to get the book or come to another reading to hear that. When I learned that when I was finishing the sonnet sequence, and there's 12 of them, I started to think about who else have we not heard from, who's left out. And I realized that one of the voices was the suspected arsonist himself. He was never charged. No one was ever charged for the fire. And also in the book, there is a foreword and a notes section that has some of the history of the fire as well. But so I decided to write this sonnet about the arsonist outside of the sonnet sequence. The arsonist. There is nothing. Oh, and one other thing, if you're not familiar with Hartford, there's a reference to the Current, and that's the paper of record for Hartford that reported extensively on the fire. The arsonist. There is nothing on earth I wouldn't want to watch burn. Where I see devotion, you see fire, danger rising, rising with each unwanted minute, rising higher. I used to want to be seen like this, but now I am content to let the flames do my calling. I am more behind the scenes in control of who I am, uncaged, unashamed, a lion unannounced, licking my wounds clean. We read together at the stand from the same papered news. I am the Current's headline, staring back at you. The death toll rises overnight like rancid smoke. I am every family's worst bruise, ready to pounce. So remember, tightrope, I control what burns. I become more suspect, withheld, than crime resolved. Remember, you become victim, less human, over time. And I'm going to end with a much more, I hope, transcendent and somewhat uplifting poem about the fire. It was the first poem I ever wrote. It's an erasure poem, and I did it when I was in graduate school in the 1990s. My professor passed out random pages from a Victorian novel, and I was so surprised that the circus fire is what emerged from that page. And I was very happy I was able to find the poem after all these years and be able to put it into the chapbook. As I mentioned, the fire itself took place on July 6, 1944. There is a memorial in Hartford dedicated to the fire at 350 Barber Street, and all that information is in the book as well. So this is the last poem I'll read, and the title itself is also an erasure from the chapter heading from that unknown Victorian novel, that page that I was given. I attend a sin, an erasure. It took minutes. One little tick seats 50, and a sandy floor caught dark red, burning yellow, turned itself into a circus, the ring being enclosed by rising tiers, each gradually diminishing. The great fort still ruined, those on the ground, deserted, yawn black and empty. Do not shrink back into the clamor of the sun-drenched present. You may understand what follows. Up a flight of coolness and shadow, the light emerged beside a road. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Barb, and thanks to all our amazing listeners, all you luminaries out there. What a night of poetry.
Oh,
I love that
wow.
we began with fire and ended with fire.
There you go. Exactly. I didn't even put that
I was
down.
so
was just
struck
thinking
by
that.
that
That's
when
awesome.
Katie was reading. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
That's great. Wow, Sandy. I know a lot of people have expressed interest in the chat in getting your chapbook. So, and it's wonderful. It's really a great, as are all your books. So please, listeners, do yourselves a favor, and also poets. That's what we're here for. And buy some of their books. and ask your library to stock them as well. Hey, this is a great night. I'm glad we're ending on a high note for the season. We're off for July and August. We'll be back in September. Speaking of which, if you are a Connecticut poet and would like to appear in the fall or early in 2027, please email me. It's just, you see my name on the screen, barbjennis@gmail.com. We are always looking for poets of all stages of career. So please, we'd love to hear your voice. So Lucy, thank you so much. And thank you, Ridgefield Library.
My pleasure. I'm sorry my dogs are barking.
That's all right. My neighbor was power washing all night. So.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Barb.
Oh, my pleasure. Good night, everyone. Come
Thank
back.
you,
Have a great
Barb.
summer.
Thank you, Barb.
Goodbye.
Thank you, poets.